Well, good morning to everybody, and thank you very much to Professor Eskovitz and the organising committee for having me here today. My name is Laura Henderson. I'm an editorial programme manager at Frontiers Media. We are a fully open access digital publisher, so in the Triple Helix model, I suppose you would say we operate at the intersection of academia and industry. You may be familiar with some of our journals, which range across all areas of academia, from our flagship longest-running journal, Frontiers in Neuroscience, to our newest journal launched only 2 months ago, Frontiers in Research Metrics and Analytics. Today, I'll be speaking on how rapid access to research drives global economies and can solve our global problems. So I will be seeking to show how publishing can help in global crises. And the questions I will be addressing in relation to this will be, why do we need open and rapid access to research knowledge? What are the issues with current academic publishing which prevent this? And how can publishers of the future, like Frontiers aims to be, what can we do to solve this and to make the information needed to resolve global crises readily available? So research is the foundation of our society, driving the modern benefits we enjoy and shaping how we live our lives. We see the huge effects of our scientific advances in everything. For an example, our ever-increasing lifespans, supported by healthcare, which in 1 century has run from the breakthrough of Willem Sontgen's X-rays to modern radiation therapy based on full-body scanning. Another example, everyday communication and information accessibility, again, which has gone 140 years from Alexander Graham Bell's telephone to the current mobile smartphone. The 3 major scientific revolutions which have spurred this: first of all, the Industrial Revolution, where steam and machines drove new mass production of textiles and food. Second, the Electric Revolution, where Faraday's contribution to electromagnetism drove electrical power and further mass production. And finally, the Information and Digital Revolution. One could define its beginning with Claude Shannon's information theory in 1948, which formed the foundation for the move from analog and mechanical computing and power to digital computing. Humankind has progressed to our current mastery of the planet via ever more ambitious scientific discovery. However, the concurrent expansion of Homo sapiens as a species has caused massive drain upon the Earth's resources, creating a planet-wide crisis even as our pinnacles of achievement are made. If I may, let me just quickly review in numbers how much of a crisis we are facing. This is leaving aside the socio and political crisis which has been mentioned here. This is purely in terms of global resources. First, our population expansion has hit the exponential point. Now at 7.4 billion people globally, we will be 9 billion by between 2030 and 2050, and possibly 28 billion by the end of this century. In terms of food, we consume unsustainable proportions of this. 40% of planet Earth's land surface is already in production for agriculture. Water. Most of our consumption is now not for drinking or for personal use, but actually to produce everything we eat and consume. For example, it takes 1,600 litres of water to produce 1 kilogram of bread. And we need 2,400 litres of water to produce 1 kilogram of rice, and 15,000 litres of water on average to produce 1 kilogram of meat. In terms of energy, to produce and transport our ever-expanding consumer goods and food worldwide, we need energy, and unfortunately 80% of this still comes from fossil fuels, coal, oil and gas. And of course this has climatic consequences. Burning of fossil fuels, also agriculture, deforestation, creates climate change, including displacing people because their environment becomes unlivable. Finally, biodiversity. As touched on by Professor Kirchhoff, the natural habitats are disappearing, partly to city and agricultural expansion or destruction from our byproducts of polluting waste and toxins. This is leading to the 6th mass extinction of animals. By the end of this century, 26% of mammals, 13% of birds, and 41% of amphibians are threatened to go extinct. But with the expansion of our species has come the expansion of capacity for research. Each groundbreaking scientific discovery has led to more funding for research being created. Currently, we have about $2 trillion worldwide going into research, which is expected to expand to about $3 trillion by 2021. And more researchers are joining science. Currently counted at 7 million worldwide, it's expected to be 9 million by 2021. And this continues the upward trend of the production of research articles, as we see here. And this brings forth, of course, potentially world-changing science. Discoveries such as the one in 2016 by Japanese scientists of a bacteria species capable of breaking down PET plastic, which could eventually transform our use of the planet's resources. With the capacity of scientific discovery comes, of course, an economic capacity, driving GDP to create amazing opportunities. Economic growth funds new industries, wealth, health, safety, food, and shelter for billions of people. At the time of discovery, for example, of electricity and the invention of the steam engine, which of course allowed us to manufacture at a large scale, the total world economy was worth about $700 billion. But today, manufacturing alone accounts for $11 trillion of GDP. And thanks to the digital revolution, the revenue generated through the internet is now $8 trillion, and the Internet of Things is predicted to generate another $19 trillion within the next 5 years. So our best hope for educating people globally, and this is talking about general public, and achieving consensus amongst experts, which is a whole other problem, on how to tackle worldwide issues, is to allow this economy-driving science to provide the solutions in an unrestrained way. It is scientists who enable this amazing growth, and it will be scientists who need to provide the solution to address the destructive byproducts of growth. Scholarly publishing should provide answers, but it is currently at the heart of the problems. As I will argue, it can be the heart of the solutions. Here we see a representation of a virtuous circle of research and innovation, driving growth of governments and industry, who then fund further research. However, traditional publishers are not invested in this circle and, in fact, actively block it. I will show you how. The current publishing paradigm is currently very lucrative, so the vested interests are not in opening up this circle more freely, but actually continuing as things are, which actually filters money out of this virtuous circle via publishers. So the problems then with academic publishing, how does it block this virtuous circle? First of all, the impact-focused rejection cascade slows down access to research. And secondly, even when published, up to 80% of papers are currently subscription access only, thereby severely limiting who can read this research worldwide. This means the proven data we need to solve global crises is A, not reaching the stream of knowledge fast enough to contribute, and B, when it does, is not widely enough available to be applied in all the fields in which it is required. And traditional publishing's vested interest in maintaining the current lucrative system leaves general readers unaware of potential solutions, or indeed their own responsibility to crises, and also prevents the joining up of research knowledge between experts in different fields. So let's have a look then at this traditional publishing's rejection cascade and why this doesn't work. There are approximately 2 million research papers published per year at present. However, traditional publishers hunt for the best paper. They are impact factor focused. Reviewers and editors are trained to cherry pick only impactful studies and reject the rest. So, only 500,000 papers are accepted a year without rejection. Assuming that a reasonable percentage are actually bad science and deserve rejection, generously estimating this at another 500,000 or 25%, this still leaves 1 million articles which are good articles, that are sound scientific research, deserving of entering the knowledge stream and being available to everyone, but these are held in rejection systems often beyond the point when they are most needed. So let's see what this means in real terms. On average, 6 months is the time spent per article in a rejection cascade. Added up for all 1 million articles we just identified as being rejected, which are still good articles, this makes a huge overall delay in getting sound science into the knowledge stream. And, of course, there are real-world hidden costs to this. Researchers must then waste time rewriting their work to resubmit it elsewhere, and, as we all know, time is money. So, assuming that each paper requires 2 reviewers and 1 handling editor, plus an author's own time in rewriting their work, and assuming that these people work on an average rate of about $100 an hour for their funding, we are talking about 100 million hours wasted per year in reviews and rewriting of rejected papers, and this adds up to $10 billion a year wasted in direct costs. This is not taking into account lost opportunity and potential GDP. And the irony of this traditional publishing model, which is so wasteful of time, costs, and badly needed research, is that it does not achieve what it aims to. Frontiers has conducted our own analysis of the rejection rates, where publicly declared by publishers, correlated to the impact factors of their journals, which give some indication of their perceived quality in the academic world. And as you can see, this takes 570 journals from the Thomson Reuters Journal Citation Report and graphs them. No correlation is shown between high rejection rates and high impact factors, except for a very few exceptional outliers. So rejecting more than they accept does not improve the quality necessarily of final published articles. Academics tend to be nervous of volume publishing, i.e. publishing all sound science without screening for potential impact. But clearly this does not correlate with dimmed quality, as long as the peer review is rigorous. Quality at scale is achievable and is needed to release the articles lost in rejection cascades. Frontiers, as a publisher, tries to redress the imbalance of current peer review system by building on our open access dissemination with a unique philosophy towards peer review and publication selection. Our editorial boards are composed of top researchers. We have more than 65,000 researchers on our boards worldwide, and of these, 80% come from the top 400 institutions in the world. We perform impact-neutral peer review. We accept all articles that are correct science, and we do not screen for potential impact. And therefore, evaluation on significance and importance is left to post-publication altmetrics, which we also build into our platforms, and therefore is judged by the relevant research communities. It is not in the hands of a few reviewers. We built technology into our platforms to evaluate and facilitate quality at scale for high-throughput publishing, plus a unique collaborative peer review forum which enables authors to improve their papers in the most streamlined and efficient way possible. Internally, of course, we assure that what we publish is correct and of sufficient quality to enter the stream of knowledge, and it works. Here you see our data for 6 example journals, many of which within our portfolio which prove this trend, calculated again from Thomson Reuters' own data within the Journal Citation Report listings. They have the categories, as you know, which group journals together. And as you can see within these categories, our open access impact neutral papers still cause our journals to gain recognition for quality, because our rates of citation are amongst the highest in the open access journals, across many categories. As you can see, for example, in psychology, there are 19 open access journals listed in Thomson Reuters' category of psychology, and we publish number 1 and 2 most cited journals. But even more interestingly, this applies beyond open access. Here is the same data source, Thomson Reuters journal categories again, applied to all journals in the field, open access or otherwise. And as you can see, Frontiers journals still remain at the top of the citation rates. In psychology, now we're counting 606 journals in total in the category, and we are still number 1 and number 2, which I think is very impressive given how many we're talking about. So open access, we believe, is the future, and it will provide future solutions. First of all, we must recognize that open access is already on track to take over from traditional publishing, and this will bring massive cost savings, as I will show, but also that publishers using a fully open access dissemination platform will make the information easily available where it's needed in the world. So EU ministers have realized the part that freely available research has to play in reaching solutions to global crises. On May 27th this year, Carlos Moedas, the European Commissioner for Research, Science and Innovation, ordered a reform mandate that all publicly funded scientific papers published in Europe are to be made free access by 2020. Now, already on an upwards trend, and doubtless to be boosted by this EU mandate, open access publications are rising, as academics, institutions, and national funding bodies seek to improve the stream of knowledge in the world. And as our graph here shows, the current trend indicates open access will overtake traditional publishing in volume by about 2018 to 2020. But why is open access such a good thing for global research? Because it saves massive overall costs that can then be put back where they are most needed. More research into global issues, more researcher jobs, more innovation. How? Well, the numbers here are calculated from reports declared by the subscription publishers of their own revenue, calculated against the declared article processing charges of open access publishers, and divided by the 2 million research articles a year, as if all were published under one model or the other. As these numbers show, the average cost per subscription article is over twice that of the average open access article, and so the overall savings, if all 2 million articles a year were immediately switched and processed via open access, could be around $10 billion. So a transition to open access will save universities $10 billion a year in subscription costs, ultimately. It will accelerate global research and innovation with that money. It will unlock unlimited potential for data mining and innovation, and it will stimulate growth and jobs. So here is an example of open access work in action, using the platform metrics that Frontiers have created. These metrics enable the true impact of each paper to be evaluated post-publication, as I've mentioned, and they allow our reviewers, as I've said, to focus only on the soundness of the science and improving its communication, not taking responsibility for cherry-picking the most impactful papers. We see here the real-world value of such information coming out via open access on a discoverable platform. In the case given here, the Nepalese 2015 earthquake, and our highly relevant article, whose article-level demographics mapping shows how the information was needed and used locally. As you can see, the India and Nepal region was in fact the largest hotspot in the world for the views and downloads of that article. And the most important point is that, as with the example of the Nepalese earthquake, open access publications must be read and used to further knowledge, to build on and to accelerate developments. Here you see a world map of Frontiers' total 200 million article views and downloads, and with the distribution of our readers shown as truly worldwide. In particular, there are interesting concentrations in places like Mountain View, near San Francisco, the home of Silicon Valley, of course, and Shenzhen, the Chinese equivalent of Silicon Valley. This suggests that our publications on private industry, for example, have influence and contribute to the development of our future world. And if all publishers were publishing open access, imagine how much better that information flow would be. It's not just also about the readers. The digital era of open access has provided the perfect breeding ground for the badly needed innovations to improve researchers' ability to publish easily and be seen worldwide. Here's a quick snapshot of the key innovations that open access has brought about and where Frontiers has made its steps in those areas. Digital-born and community-driven as a publisher, our new technological solutions address the problems our editors and authors have raised for us to solve. For example, peer review. We have a new model of the impact-neutral mandate, as I mentioned, publishing only what is scientifically correct on a collaborative forum that seeks to improve all papers. Publishing platforms, they need to be service-orientated, they need to be scalable, they need to be adoptable with customer feedback, and they need to be efficient. Impact metrics, these should aim to be at the article level, providing objective assessment of papers post-publication. And author discoverability. Online profiles for authors and editors should be integrated to provide impact and further your readership internationally for your research. So I'd like you just to imagine the possibilities here. Humanity has already achieved amazing economic growth, as I've shown, due to scientific and technological innovation. Our world economy grew to over 70 trillion last year, and we did all of this despite having extremely limited access to our research literature and data. We built this economy despite the rejection cascades imposed by journals that massively slow down our innovation cycles. We did this with almost no technological assistance in how we publish and disseminate science, except in the last few years. Imagine what we can achieve if research is shared freely, rapidly, and efficiently. Today's 70 trillion is only a lazy start of what we can do if we set science free. In conclusion, I believe that if publishers adopted Frontiers' approach of being gatekeepers and technological innovators to enable quality at scale, then open access truly can be the key to getting research into the world that is needed to solve global crises. Not only does efficient and rapid access save publishing costs and lost research time, this with us boosting economic growth and funding more research into the future, but it also enables a true interdisciplinary discussion, such as that which Triple Helix seeks to facilitate, between the experts of many fields. And only with this joined-up thinking between many leaders and an educated public with key access to science will we see the change that our world needs. Thank you.